Hello, everybody. Lex here. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Dark Trio. Where we left off, Bar, Mel, and Yark have just overcome a trance that was emitted by a strange blue crystal. Luckily, due to Yark's smarts and sheer luck, possibly with a bucket, he was able to snap his two colleagues out of it. Basically, everybody was seeing something they've always wanted or have had before, especially in Yark's case, which did reveal some backstory for our characters. But now, Yark takes the lead, and they continue through the tunnel, this cave. I've been doing some thinking about what they're going to encounter. Originally, I was going to roll the one-page mythic, which we will be continuing to use every so often. But then I realized the crystal was on top of some kind of mound of dirt, like a 3 to 4 foot pedestal of dirt from the GM's perspective. The team doesn't know that. They will soon, with Yark holding the torch, they will soon see it. So, they walk ever so slowly through the cave, still looking for that young captured child who is, what's his name? Let's see here. Timothy. Just remember that. Timothy is, his whereabouts are unknown. The status of whether he's alive, we're not sure. But presumably, he is most likely in this cave, which is also called Cave of Doom. Just, just because. So, let's ask the Oracle what happens before the party reaches that mound of dirt that has basically Excalibur implanted in it. It is the crystal. It's in the dirt or rock. It could be a rock. Let's say it's a rock. I get my D100 here. And this is what happens before they get to it. So I'm rolling my D100, 92, which is start, and then 73. Perfect. Okay, the perfect start. I think this is a perfect start for Yark to take lead, which means nothing goes wrong. Nothing goes wrong. Perfect start. Start was the action, perfect was the scripting. With the torch in his hand, Yark approaches what appears to be a giant stone sticking out of the ground with the blue crystal right there implanted into it. But it looks like, from his perspective, from his eyes, the stone was broken apart, like with a pickaxe. Basically, somebody went Minecraft in this thing. And as they get closer, because the gem and the stone is the most vibrant visual to see first before reveals, there are 3 dead bodies, skeletons to be exact, surrounding the stone. And there are a few pickaxes around the stone. Now, the tunnel continues. Actually, no, it doesn't. This is the end of the tunnel. It's not a very deep tunnel. And here's why. This tunnel, these 3 individuals who are dead, were miners. They were digging this tunnel. This tunnel's fresh has been, let's say, started perhaps a few months ago. There has been vibrant gold found here, vibrant resources, but it's been blocked off due to strange occurrences happening within the tunnel. Despite the fact the tunnel is probably, based on what we've experienced so far, maybe 50 yards deep. Thinking about a football field size, 50 yards, half that. So this crystal is sticking out of the very end of the tunnel, of this cave. I guess that's a mine. Was going to be a mine. it was in the process of being dug, but something happened, and there's been, again, dangers, strange occurrences. The nearest settlement said, "Nope, we're closing this shit off. So let's put signage." Remember, there's been signage outside that says, "Don't enter," dangerous, etc. Well, the team entered and they've encountered the first obstacle, and that was a hole. And then eventually, if they found the crystal. So it's not exactly a pedestal of dirt, a mound of dirt. This crystal is just stuck to one very big stone as the rest of the wall is carved out or picked out with a pickaxe. But these three skeletons are laid out like on the ground. They have no clothes. They're just skeletons. But they do have personal belongings like bags, canisters. There's some boxes. There's a broken lantern on top of a crate that's not obviously lit. So let me write this down because this is some important details. And so, as the stone becomes more apparent, it doesn't have that glow anymore. It's been powered down. Tark is the first one to see this. He stops the team. He kind of puts the torch a little closer to the end of the tunnel, and then he kind of notices the dead bodies. He's a grave digger. He works in the graveyard. This is something that he's very used to seeing anything dead related, death related, skeletons, bodies. This is his territory. This is his occupation. So he sees three dead bodies. He says, well, I gotta remember his voice was um, anyways, his voice. He goes, hold up, we got some dead bodies here. Then he kind of gets a little closer to the skeletons. He bends down, he kneels down. He looks at him. He sees the pickaxe. He says, "I think these are miners. Got some pickaxes here." Then he looks up at the stone, and the stone is actually, I'm sorry, the crystal. The crystal is translucent. You can kind of see through it. It has perfect shape to it. Has flat face each side, shiny, but doesn't have that glow. So he stands up, he walks back, takes a few steps back, and as he takes a step back, Bar. Now, Bar's voice. I've been thinking about changing it ever so slightly to kind of a Eastern European deep grizzly voice, just because it kind of resembles an Eastern big guy from the any Eastern European country. So he's standing there and he says, "What do you think? What do you think killed them?" And then we have Shaggy over here. He's kind of like looking me at it. Like, did you say dead bodies? And then Yark responds, "Well, I think that this crystal is probably responsible for them death." So he thinks, let's do a knowledge roll. This is going to be prospector. That's what I was thinking about. A prospector. That's the voice. Sorry, it just came to me. So let's do a knowledge-related roll. This will be obviously willpower. We only have 3 skills to roll at, but because of his experience around, I don't know, this is a vague advantage. A death, dead bodies. I'm going to roll advantage with 2d20s. And we're rolling 15 or less. He's assuming that the blue crystal is what killed these bodies. But we're rolling to figure out how they killed these 3 individuals. From the experience of what it looked like it was a trance, obviously this crystal's magic and has magical properties, which means whoever touches the stone as they become entranced with the vision of their life, they touch the stone, it absorbs their life force, turns them into skeletons, and it grows. It just absorbs them. So let's roll for d20s. Got 2 of them. Advantage. I rolled an 18 and a 6, so the 6 we go with that one. He looks at the crystal sharply and says, I believe these three here touched this stone and got their life force sapped out of them. This stone here turns back to Bar, mainly Bar. He says, we touched this. If you two would have touched that stone, if you two would have touched that stone, you would have ended up like our friends here. Bar, Bar says, well, if that's true, then it looks like we owe you our life. What do we do with the stone? And where's the boy? I don't think Mel would say anything right here. He's just kind of listening in. The question is, where's the boy? So, since we're at the end of the tunnel, and the crystal, I keep saying stone, sorry, crystal. The crystal absorbs life forms, life force, leaving behind just a skeleton property. It absorbs your entire body except for your skeleton, spits it out. Where is the kid? Maybe he's dead. I had an idea for this. And the idea goes back to the old man. What was his name? Let's see. NPC. The quest giver was that we're currently in the Darkwood Forest. The old man, his name is Jarl. Jarl. I had this joke early in the last couple episodes where he comes in running in and nobody's paying attention. They're all just drinking, and our team hears him and they respond. But when Mel's talking to the old man, he's being laughed at by the patrons around him. This might have a slight retcon to the story. This might be a slight diversion from what originally happened because I didn't exactly take every exact note. But that's the beauty of solo play and how everything keeps on track. Here's what I'm going to do. Jarl was not real. He was a fabrication conjured by the stone. These three miners, as they were continuing to dig this tunnel, this mine, they stumbled upon the crystal. When as they most likely were very curious, they dug around the crystal to reveal itself. Sunlight touched it. Remember, it's nighttime right now. It's very late. Let me make a note of that. It's obviously, let's say in our time, modern day time is 10 p.m. The light touched the crystal. It spawned, well, it absorbed the life forms of the three miners, and popped out the spirit of the crystal. That was Jarl. He was not real. Or, well, he is a phantom, a spirit, but he can choose who can see him, who to be visible to. So I think he chose these three kind of lonely nobodies at random, perhaps, or it was Mel who was the anchor. Everybody else in the tavern was most likely on the older side, aged, weathered like Yark, just there after a long day's of work. No care in the world, no regrets, just having a drink, mind their own business. But the spirit walks in. Maybe the door did open, but Mel, being the kind of hopeful young adventurer, wannabe adventurer who wants something exciting to be part of, sees this spirit in the tavern and approaches it. Remember when he's talking, when the spirit's like, I need help, blah, 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 nobody's responding. Originally, I thought it was a great comedic moment, but to be honest with you, I think I led somewhere to this conclusion. He saw Jarl, as an actual old man, like a real person. Didn't see any problems. And then as they were conversing a bit, ignoring any possible plot holes where the surrounding people did acknowledge the man existed, I'm kind of again modding the story just a bit. As Jarl was talking to Mel. Mel turned and said, the two here, these two guys. Then the spirit, the Phantom, let's call him the Phantom. I like that, the Phantom. So, NPC mod, Jarl is the Phantom, and he's a spirit of the crystal. He's the guardian of the crystal. So the crystal was discovered, was freed, sunlight activated it, and this Phantom is evil. So the Phantom then included both Bar and Yark in being seen, being acknowledged. So to everybody else who was talking, to everybody else in the tavern who was seeing this weird psychotic moment of Mel talking to himself and looking at someone talking, and then these two become convinced that they see someone. That's how powerful maybe the Phantom is. They're laughing, they're confused, and then Mel and company leave. That's what happened. So a slight step back, a little flashback, cutaway scene. That's what happened. Like if this was a movie, the big reveal. Now, so the child, Timothy, he's not real. Doesn't exist. He was just an anchor to get them, give them a reason to get to the crystal, so that they can take the crystal out of the cave and free him for good to bring in the crystal. But the problem is, the side effect of the crystal is that it entrances people. This is a natural component of the crystal. I don't think Jarl, the Phantom, kind of considered that. He thought, oh, I need three daring, or someone who's willing to enter the cave to take the crystal and bring me out in the sunlight so I can become fully present in this dimensional plane. So, while they are, okay, now we're back to the three. While they are looking at the crystal, they hear a laugh and some footsteps behind them, echoing through the cave. Mel, he's in the back. He turns around. He says, "Uh, well, remember it's dark, so let's ask the Oracle. Does Oh, you know what? I can just. I'm curious. Let's see what the Oracle brings up. It's obviously the Phantom, but I want to see how Mel perceives the Phantom. So let's roll the two descriptors, not actions, not yet. 91, a lot of 90s. Small. Okay, that makes sense. It's a distance away. 30. Feeble. Okay, so feeble, I think, describes Mel in this moment. Mel turns around and he sees a very small glowing light 50 yards away as I'm approximating. In the distance, a small glowing white light. He thinks it's probably from the outside. Moonlight, perhaps. But then he squints a bit. Doesn't have a torch. He squints a bit, and actually, let's roll for this. It's because it's far away. It's dark at night. Moonlight can probably barely peek through the cave entrance at this pace, or at this distance. We're rolling for willpower, I believe, for this perception kind of roll. Awareness 12. So he has 12. This will be just a regular d20. No advantage, no disadvantage. So rolling d20, 16. He can't tell what it is. He just sees a white glowing light. But he tugs on. He's like, uh, hey, a Bar. Like he's tugging on Bar's shirt. Bar turns around, and he sees. He also sees it. And let's roll for him. Does he perceive what it is at that distance? Bar has 10. Middle of the road. 11. It goes to 11. He's not able to perceive what appears at the end of the tunnel, at the entrance of the tunnel. Bar's like, what is that? And so Yark, I think he was already standing. Anyways, he stands up, he turns around, he leans, he kind of looks over Bar's shoulders, and then he also sees something in the distance. So now we will roll for Yark. He has a 15 in willpower. Rolled a 13. He barely makes it out. And Yark says, well, that's weird. I think that's the man from the tap. As he's squinting, kind of looking. Is it? I don't think my eyes deceive me, but I believe that's that Jarl fellow. And so Bar still has his warhammer. I think he has a warhammer. Yep, still has a warhammer, and he says, "What is this old man doing here? You think he's checking on us?" And Mel's like, he says to Han Solo, and he's like, I got a bad feeling about this, guys. He's shaking in his boots. So the Phantom approaches ever so slowly, but he's actually now much has a glowing radiant, as a radiant glow around him, and it's blue. The crystal suddenly lights up. Yark turns around as he feels this vibration in the air. He turns around and sees the crystal starting to glow. So he connects the dots. He sees the crystal. He turns around to Jarl, and then he steps in front of Mel, kind of pushing Mel back. He points to the spirit, the Phantom. He says, "You're from the crystal, aren't you? You're not real." And then Mel and Bar are like eyes. Mel is probably like Jinkies, and then Bar is probably like, hmm. It doesn't. I don't think he really emotionally reacts to that significantly. So he's like, hmm. So that's how I just picture the responding. This bear walks up. He stops before the hole, and then he kind of floats over, just kind of, and then lands in front of the hole on their side, and they're probably like 15 yards away. So the spirit continues on. He stops. Now the old man, remember, he has a hat on. Takes off the hat, and he's visible. You can see him, but he's also like the crystal. He's slightly transparent, but it's now more apparent that he's not real. He spews some. Well, let's see. What does he say? Let's roll this. Let's figure out what he says here, because I have an idea of what it could say regarding the crystal. He's been trapped in this crystal for thousands of years. And blah blah blah. Stereotypical stuff. 59. Help. Okay, that's a given. 16 damaged. I'm like, come on, I got this perfect roll for this. Okay, so let's see. The Phantom approaches, talks to the party. The Phantom says, how do he sound? He says, "You three, I chose you to free me from this damned prison." It kind of sounds like Yark. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out a voice for him. "I chose you three to free myself. Take the crystal, take it outside, and you will be heavily awarded for your efforts." And Bar hears the word awarded, rewarded, I guess. Bar's like, "If we take the crystal, what happens to us?" As he would rightfully ask. He's interested in the reward, but he's also, the circumstances, as he believes his friend Yark. The spirit says, the Phantom says, "You will become part of me. You will become one with the crystal." And Mel's like, "Nope, not doing it, guys. I am not doing this. This is not what I had in mind." Yark then turns back to the crystal. The crystal's glowing and shaking vibrantly and violently, like it's so close. And then the Yark starts to feel like a kind of a burning sensation in his skin, as because he's close. Well, actually, Bar feels a burning sensation in his back because Yark's in the front. I forgot about that. So Bar kind of like feels a weird itch. He turns around and sees the crystal shaking. Mel turns around and sees the crystal shaking, and the spirit starts to like attack them. Like then becomes like this weird demonic looking spirit phantom. Like the tails are like these weird extra arms pop out of its back, and its clothing turns into like these weird extra arms, and it starts to attack. So now we are in combat. So the crystal, he's basically trying to capture them, and they know it, but it's the spirit. How do you fight a spirit? You can't just swing a sword at it. So we gotta keep that in mind. Now, I'm looking at the items. The spirit come. Well, we could be we could be just in a general encounter, but Yark. Let's roll for this. I believe he's smart. He's going to play it smart here. Okay, so event-wise, if we take this encounter narratively, here's how it goes. I'm going to write down combat. Okay. Uh, Mel, or what's his name? Bar takes his warhammer and swings at the spirits comes through. The warhammer goes right through. If he's not physically present, doesn't have the physical form on this dimensional plane. Swings at him. The spirit comes at Bar, but quickly, Yark, let's roll for this. He has an item, the torch, rolling for advantage. This is dexterity. So he's going to take the torch and put it. So here's the thing: the weakness of the Phantom. This is a Deus Ex Machina at the moment, a plot device, however you want to call it. The stone is more powerful in sunlight. That's why it was buried. Whoever buried the stone thousands of years ago into the cave, into the mountain. Obviously, it was found. But the spirit itself, the Phantom, went outside the stone. The crystal is weak against light. So the torch was probably on it casually by his side, but Yarp thinks quick and is going to kind of push the torch into the face of the spirit before it gets to our team. So I'm rolling for the advantage because it's a item assist. This is dexterity. 6. Okay, so he's barely able to get the torch in front of the spirit, and the spirit like screams and kind of jumps back as it floats back probably several 10 to 12, 10, 15 feet away. So then Yark tells Bar, Mel is completely useless in this situation, but he tells Bar, quickly, use your Warhammer, hit that damn crystal, but don't touch it. So Bar turns around and without hesitation takes the Warhammer and swings it, smashes the crystal. This would require a strength roll because the crystal could be a powerful item, an artifact. But with the Warhammer, which is an item assist, it's an attack roll in a way. We're rolling for strength, 16 or less. 13, 5. So 5 is the roll. He swings the Warhammer at the crystal, shattering it as it explodes. And the team takes, let's say, d6 damage each, because that is a big explosion. Throws them back. Based on their damage, we'll determine the narrative on where they land or end up. So we're rolling d6 for Bar. 4 damage. He takes 4 damage. He's already at 10, so now he's down to 6. Mel is actually healed up. I forgot about that. He also takes 4 damage. He's down to 8. He was healed at 12 earlier. And then Yark, I keep calling him Jarl, or we're rolling for d6. Also 4 damage. Okay, they all take 4 damage. But he's the weakest. He's down to 4 out of 8. Okay, it's all 4 rolls. They all get flown back. The spirit disintegrates, just disappears. You hear a scream kind of just echo throughout the chamber, and white dust as this explodes. This crystal blows up in front of their face. So I'm going to write that down, that Bar smashes crystal, and it explodes, causing basically minus 1d6 to everybody. Okay. They get up. No, the question is, does the does the tunnel cave in on themselves? Let's ask the Oracle. I'm going to say 65% chance based on the explosion. Let's roll the explosion's magnitude. 58. That's okay. That's a pretty good, that's an average explosion. However that would be. Now let's roll, does the tunnel cave in? 75% chance. Oh, 86. It doesn't. Okay, so they got lucky. Though the ceiling starts to crack, and it's starting to cave in. Not at the moment. Let's leave that no as it is. Yark sees this. He says, and let's do a perception roll. Advantage because he's actually looking up. So this is for each character. Bar, 10 or less. 4, advantage. He sees it. Mel, no advantage for him. 16, he doesn't see it. Yark is looking at the ceiling. 5. Okay, he sees it. Now, Yar yells as loud as he can. He says that the cave is about to collapse. We got to get out of here. And remember, there's that hole. So they run out, and we got to do a dexterity check. It's a rush, so this could be a disadvantage. Bar is going to have to roll first for dexterity to get past that hole. Maybe you can jump it. Let's try that. This will be dexterity, though. Disadvantage because well, actually, advantage because he's running. So we're rolling 2d20. 4. He's able to scale, jump over the hole for his size. That's pretty impressive. Mel, no problem. He has 15 dexterity. Advantage because he's running. 3. He jumps it. Yark, advantage. He's running, but hmm, his dexterity is 8. 10. 10 and 13. Okay, so he falls down the hole and he collapses. He takes 1 damage. Bar stops. Mel continues running out the tunnel as the cave starts to collapse near where the crystal was. As it starts to collapse, parts of rocks are falling from the ceiling. The place is collapsing in on itself. Yark is he's on the ground. He gets up. He's a little hurt. He looks up at Bar, and Bar puts his hand out to grab to help him out. So this will be a strength roll with 2d20 advantage because he's a strong guy, and Yark is trying to boost himself up. So we're rolling for strength. Actually, you know what? He's pulling something up, so I'm going to do 1d20, no advantage. 11. Okay, so he helps Yark out of the hole, and they get out of there. We got to do dexterity roll for this, for both characters. So the tunnel starts to collapse. Well, we did roll that the tunnel did not collapse at that moment. I'll leave it as it is. They run out of the tunnel, and the tunnel collapses as they dive out. Mel is like he's panting and turns around and sees both Bar and Yark dive like Mission Impossible. The tunnel collapses and dust and dirt and debris just we don't a dust cloud. And Mel's like coughing, he's looking around and he sees Bar standing up and Yark is like brushing himself off. They're safe. They get out of the tunnel before it collapses on themselves. So let me write that down here in our notes. The tunnel collapsed. Everyone survived. Tunnel collapsed. Okay. And then Bar looks to the kid. He says, "Where were you?" As, again, he ran out first. Nell's like, I thought you guys were behind me. This is like a Charlie Day moment where he's talking, like, I thought you guys were behind me. I was just running out and the cave was falling. What can I do? I'm not your size. And complaining and excuses. Yark is just ignoring him. Yark looks back at the tunnel and says, I wonder how many people died from that damn thing. Not really as Yark has like a Western accent, which is perfectly fine. And then Bar puts his hand on Yark's shoulder and says, Thank you, friend. You saved our lives. Now, let's get back to the tavern. I need a drink. There was no gold in this damn reward. There was no gold, unfortunately. As he looks to Mel. Mel's like, "Oh, I'll pay you guys. I swear." And that's where it cuts the black. So, uh, Mel has to pay them because again, he did technically hire them. This was fruitless, but they did survive. And Cairn is a deadly game depending on how you run it. So Mel will pay them for the work. And I think that's it for this episode. I don't. That was pretty eventful and not really necessarily combat. Not much combat because of Yark's quick thinking, which makes sense. But yeah, they didn't find any. They didn't find any gold. They didn't find anything. They almost died. And I think it went well. Let me know what you guys think. As far as will I continue this campaign or this series, maybe. It ends here for now. This is episode 3, Dark Trio. If I adapt it to another rules, I might. Even my own system, which I have at 5. I want to get that testing again. So let me know what you guys think. This was, again, a pretty short half an hour or so episode of Dark Trio. If I continue, then it's just them trying to find more work. Because, again, this was a dead end. Literally a dead end. Um, they they were tricked by some phantom, which I thought actually was a great twist. I hope you guys liked it. It wasn't just a conventional, oh, thank you for saving my boy, here's 500 gold or something like that. It turns out the spirit of the quest giver was the actual stone spirit, the phantom, and it tried to absorb them to become whole again. I wanted to get that little twist in there, not just some generic quest as it first started out to be. But if we do continue this, they will be looking for more work, like the bulletin board in town or something like that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.